Greetings, it's Ian from RTO here. Welcome to Friday and Steeleye Span Day. Because today it's all about Steeleye Span. First we're going to do a live album ranking, and then we're going to look at their new album that I didn't realise had come out, and it came out a little while ago. So Steeleye Span, great British folk rock band formed by former Fairport Convention bass player Ashley Hutchins and folk duo Tim Hart and Maddie Pryor. Made don't know how many albums now, but they're still going, and they've made 14 live albums, so we'll have a look at those today. So coming in at number 14, recorded on the road in 2017, and it's called Hark, the Village Wait Live. Playing on here is Maddie Pryor on the vocals, bass and vocals Roger Carey, bouzouki guitar, mandolin and various other things, drums and percussion Liam Nottingham, who's been with them a little while, Julian Litterman, Andrew Sinclair on guitars, and vocals and violins Jessie May Smart. So you get A Call in a Song, The Blacksmith, Fisherman's Wife, Black-Legged Miner, Dark-Eyed Sailor, Cop Shall Home Fair, All Things That Are Quiet, Silent, lovely track that is, The Hills of Greenmoor, My Johnny Was a Shoemaker, The Wonderful Lowlands of Holland, Two Corbies, One Night, As I Lay on My Bed. On paper it's fantastic, but when you listen to it, although it's played lovely, there's no atmosphere, there's no clapping, it sort of fades out. But the playing on it is fabulous, so I'm still going to give it an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 13 is an album that was released in 1993, and it was originally an Australian release, and it's called On Tour, and it was doing various locations on their 1982 tour. It became part of the box set Good Times of Old England. So on here you've got Maddie Pryor vocals, Tim Hart vocals and guitar, Bob Johnson vocals, guitar, Rick Kemp on the vocals and bass, Peter Knight keyboards, and Nigel Pegram on the drums. So this one opens up with a great track off Pleased to See the King, and it's The King. Great track that is. Then we go to the All Around My Hat album for Black Jack Davey. Then we go to some of the album they were touring with, which was the Sales of Silver album, and they do the title track, which is a nice track. Then we go back into the classics. We go for a little bit of Little Sir Hugh from Commoner's Crown, back to the current album at the time, Sales of Silver, for Let Her Go Down, nice track. Go to the Parcel of Rogues album for Alison Gross, great track, and it really is great live. And I love Bark Goes to Limerick from Commoner's Crown. Then one of my favourite tracks off Now We Are Six, Thomas the Rhymer, the naughty Thomas the Rhymer. So then there's a track called I Have a Wish. Now, recorded this during the soundtrack. Now, Steeleye Span had this habit of playing stuff impromptu on stage in their concerts, and this is one of their songs. It's a really nice song. It's got a little bit of a beat to it. Then back to the Sales of Silver for Longbone. And then they do a track called I Live Not Where I Love. Now it's a traditional English folk song, which they do great. It's a lovely song. Then we have Sales of Silver, Gone to America, good track. Gold Day Tay from Below the Song, love that song. And then we end up with a little bit of All Around My Hat. You know, it's great live atmosphere. Even the stuff off the Sales of Silver sounds much better than it does in the studio. These are always a really good live band, so I'm going to give that an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 12. This came out in 1992, and it's called Tonight's the Night Live. So with Mad, we got Johnson on guitar, Peter Knight on multi-instruments, Maddie Pryor on the lead vocals, Rick Kemp on bass, and Nigel Pegram on the drums. The first track is Tonight's the Night, and that's pretty good. And then we've got Car That the Use. It's an 18th century folk song and work poem. Really good. They've never done this on anything. It's really good. And then we have Gentleman Soldier, which is another traditional folk song performed to the setting tune of the British Grenadiers. Really good. Then they do Tan Lin, and you go, hold on, Tan Lin? Yes, it is a Fairport Convention album, song from their Legion Leaf album. It's a very good version of it as well. Then they do Padstow from Tempted and Tried, which is another one of the more modern ones, and that's really good. Then we have Fighting for Strangers from Rocket Cottage. Love that track. White Man from Back in Line. Then we go to the lovely The Weaver and the Factory Made Parcels of Road. Love that. Then 10 Years Long Down Dawn. Camille Frey France from Parcels of Rogues, a bit of All Round My Hat. Solid album. Doesn't matter who's in the band, it always sounds good. I mean, I've seen them twice and they are really, really good live. So I'm going to give that an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay. Coming in at number 11. It's an album that was released in 2009. It's called Live at a Distance. And it's recorded all over Europe at various dates. There's some stuff from Salisbury City Hall from 2002. The Stables in Milton Keynes, just down the road from me, in 2004. It's a very good venue. Hove Centre 2006, and the Roses Theatre at Tewkesbury in 2008. It's Maddie Pryor, Peter Knight, Rick Kemp, Ken Nicol on guitars, Liam Janockley on the drums. And this starts off with a track off one of the albums that Maddie wasn't on, Who's the Fool Now? Hawk Store Grange, which is a great track. I love that little track. Then we get to the top. I'm not going to give it its full title because we'll be here all day saying that. We got from 10 Man Mop, When I Was on Horseback. Great track, always sounds good live. Two Magicians from Now We Are Six. Love that one as well. Back to the 10 Mop for the Neck Belly reel, which is a lovely little reel. Gets your feet tapping and all that sort of thing. Then we get to the Pleased to See the King album for the wonderful Lovely on the Water. Then we go to one of the modern albums from the album Bloody Men, The Story of Ned Ludd. I love that. It's a great storytelling song. Gone to America from Sails of Silver. Seagull from Tempted and Tried. Lord Elgin, again, another great track from Bloody Men. Saucy Sailor from Below the Salt, my favourite album, and I love that. The fantastic Weaver and the Factory Made from Parcels of Rogues. Back to the Royal, Below the Salt for Royal Forester. The Blacksmith, of course, which he's got two versions of it. One's from Hark and Village Wait, and the other is on Pleased to See the King. Three Sisters from Bloody Men. Good track, that is. It's one of my favourite sort of later albums, Bloody Men. I Live Here Where I Live, love, which is a traditional, and it's on Parcels of Rogue. Bonnie Black Hair, another storytelling one from Bloody Men. And then Hard Times of England, lovely song from All Around My Hat. Then I do a little medley of First House in Connaught and The Woman of the House. Really good from Tempted and Bloody Men. The Song Will Remain from Time. And that's the last track. Excellent CD put together. You can tell it's from different places, but they've and I love the mixture of the old and the new songs on this one, and I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 7.6. Okay, coming in at number 10, released in 2002, recorded in Nottingham at the Beck Theatre, live in Nottingham. and it was released in 1989. So we've got Maddie Pryor on vocals, Robert Johnson guitar, Peter Knight piano, Liam Gluttony on drums, and Tim Harris on the bass. Now this starts off with a track that's not on any albums. It's called The Sailor's Bonnet, which is a traditional Irish reel. Again, they just pot this. It's a proper stamp your feet and clap your hands sort of thing. Then we have the great Black Jack Davy from All Around My Heart. Love that track. And then one of my favourite tracks off the Tempted and Tried album, The Fox. And we've got Shaking the Trees from that album as well, and The Following. Now, then they do a thing called The Weaving. Now, this has got a bit of a history. It's a folk traditional, but a version of this was actually featured in the 1974 children's series Bagpuss, which was sung by Sandra Kerr and John Faulkner as Madeleine the Ragdoll and Gabrielle the Toad. It's a really nice song. Then we have the classic Thomas the Rhymer. Love that from Now We Are Six. Padstow from Tried and Tempted. Camille Frey France from Parcels of Rogue. Jack Hall from the Tempted and Tried. Galtay from, of course, Below the Salt and All Around My Heart. Tough live album ranking this is because they all sound good. This got a lot of tracks from the Tempted and Tried album, so I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7.8. Okay, coming in at number 9 is The Collection, Steeleye Span in Concert. Now it's 2 recordings from 2 different live performances. Tracks 1 to 5 were recorded in 1986 and often referred to as Mark 7. And that was Maddie Pryor, Rich Kemp, Nigel Pegram, Peter Knight and Rob Johnson. And then the 6 to 13 tracks were recorded in 1994. And the band was Maddie Pryor, Bob Johnson, Peter Knight, Tim Harris and Liam Gluttony. So this one starts off with Blacksmith from the first 2 albums. The Weaver from Parcels of Rogues, excellent. Spotted Cow from Below the Sky, love that. And then One Misty Moisty Morning, which is a fabulous track from the Rogues album. King Henry from Below the Salt, love that track. The Fox from Tried and Tempted, and The Two Butchers, and Jack Hall. And then Canon 1 from Back in Line, Shaking the Sheets from Tempted and Tried on there, All Around My Hat, and a thing called Tunes. Now it's a medley of little bits of reels, really good. And then we end up with Galtay. Another sterling concert, 2 different concerts, 2 different drummers, but they sound great. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 8.2. Okay, then coming in at number 8, we've got a little thing released in 2009. It's called Folk Rock Pioneers in Concert. And it was recorded at the Beck Theatre, Hayes, Middlesex in 2008. Maddie Pryor, Rich Kremp, Peter Knight, Ken Nickel on the vocals and guitar, and Liam Gluttony on drums. Opens up from Below the Salt, The Story of King Henry. Great track. Padstow, which is a great track off the Tempted and Tried album. Prince Charlie from Pleased to See the King, always like that. 4 Nights Drunk from 10 Mop Out, great track. Then Who Told the Butcher, which is from an album called Bedlam Born. Then we have Mantle of the Green, They Call Her Babylon, with some of the later albums. Lon Larkin from brilliant Long Larkin from Commoner's Crown. Samian, They Call Her from Babylon, one of the modern tunes. All Around My Hat. Then they do Tan Lin, which of course is a the Fairport convention track, but they actually recorded it themselves and they had it on their Time album. Go Down, Tempted and Tried. Then we have a little drum solo from Liam, and that goes into a little medley of Drink the Tower, Down the Moon and the Cuckoo from We Are Six and Rocket Cottage. Then we have a track from they call it Babylon again, and I've got to get this right, Si Beg Si Moi, great track. Betsy Bell and Mary Gray, I love that from Tempted and Tried. They Call Her Babylon from that album. Go back to the beginning now for the Black Leg Miner, Hark, the Village Wait, great track. Sir James the Road from Rock Cottage, great little track. Van Diemen's Land from They Call Her Babylon. And then the Camo France from the Rogues album. Galte from Below the Soul, and London from Rocket Cottage. Again, it's just a great mix of great performance and some of the new songs. I think these new songs do sound great live, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.2. Okay, number 7 came out in 2012, and it's called Now We Are Six Again, recorded on their 2009 tour, at various venues in the UK. Maddie Pryor, Rick Kemp, Liam Gottlieb, Julian Litterman's on here, and Peter Zorn. So you get quite a lot of, Now We Are Six, so you get 700 Elves, Drink Down the Moon, and a little bit of Cuckoo's Next, which is from Rocket's Cottage. We have Now We Are Six, the beautiful Thomas the Rhymer, the Moon Coin Jig, which I absolutely adore, Edwin, Long and Growing, Two Magicians, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and To Know Him to Love Him. So that, that's disc 1, all of We Are Six. So disc 2 is a bit more the modern stuff. So you've got Just As the Tide from Cogwheels and Lovers, Let Her Go Down from Back in Line, Edward from Back in Line, Two Constant Lovers, Cogwheels and Lovers. Then we go back to some classics. We get from Pleased to See the King, Prince Charlie Stewart, and from the Rogues album we got Camille Frey France. Back to the modern stuff for Creeping Jane from Cogs and Wheels. Back to the Pleased to See the King for Cold Hailey Windy Night. Bonnie Black Hair from Bloody Men, All Around My Hat, and Galte to end it. Excellent live album. Get the whole of We Are Six, which is a pretty good album. So I'm going to give that an RTO ranking of 8.3. Okay, coming in at number 6 is the 50th anniversary tour, and it was recorded in 2019 at the Epsom Playhouse. The band was Maddie Pryor, Liam Gottlieb, Julian Litterman, Violetta Baranowishi on the violin, Andrew Sinclair guitar, Benji Kilpatrick on bouzouki guitars, and Roger Carey on the bass. So this really does go through their entire catalogue, because the first track is Harvish, which is off Established 1969. It's a good song as well. I do like that one. And then we got some classics. Misty Moisty Morning from the Parcel of Rogues, a wonderful track. The Elf Night from Time. Back to the Established 1969 for January Man, another really nice track. Alison Gross from Parcels of Rogue. Old Matron from the 69 album. Thomas the Rhymer. I just love that track from Now We Are Six. Tan Lin from Time, and of course Legion Leaf. Roadways, the 69 album. Black Jack Davy from All Around My Hat. Bit of Sir Little Hugh from Commoner's Crown. The Weaver and the Factory Maid from Parcels of Rogues. King Henry from Below the Salt. They're really putting some great tracks in here. 17 Come Sunday from the very underrated Storm Force 10. Domestic and Reclaim from the 69. Then we have All Around My Heart, and they end up with Dodgy Bastards. Yes, it is a track and an album by Steeleye Span. This is, this up to 2019. This was all their stuff off a lot of their albums. Pretty decent set. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.5. Okay, coming in at number 5, released in November 1999. It's The Journey, and it was recorded live at the Forum in London, and it's on the 25th anniversary. So we got Ashley Hutchins on bass, Tim Hart on the electric guitar, Maddie Pryor on vocals and banjo, Terry Woods on electric guitars and mandolins, Gay Woods on vocals and Cortina and Bahrain, Marthy Carthy on banjo and Peter Knight. So some great tracks on this one. So they open up from where it all started for them. They do Call in a Song from Heart the Village Wait, Blacksmith The Fisherman's Wife McCall from the debut album Hark the Village, Dark-Eyed Sailor and Blackhead, all from the debut album Lowlands, Cold Rainy Night, and then we go to Please to See the King for Prince Charlie Stewart, Brian and Lig and the Hag with the Money. That is wonderful. It's a great jig and it just really works. Then to the Tom 10 Man Mop, Gower Wassel, which is the additional song. Lovely little song that is. Lark in the Morning, Please to See the King, a story about how they used to kill a blah, put it in a box and go around. Then the wonderful John Barleycorn from Below the Salt. The Ups and Downs, which is a traditional track from Parcel of Rhodes. Edward Johnson from Below the Salt. France Frey from Parcel of Rhodes. All Around My Hat. And then The Wife and Soldier from Stormfall's 10, which is one of my favourite tracks on there. The Maid and the Palmer from Hawkstall Grange, which Gay Wood sang. So you've got a singing one of her songs that she did when Maddie wasn't in the band when she came back. Sweep, Chimney Sweep, I love that from Stormforce 10. Corby's from Time, Harvest Moon from Time, Water is the Wild from Time and The Elf Knight, Thomas the Rhymer, Rave on the Pretty, Bloody Men, and tunes. You get a little bit more of Lark in the Morning and Irish Whirl things. Lovely to have both Maddie and Gay on stage together. Best of both worlds here. Brilliant little album, so I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 8.6. Coming in at number 4 is their very first live album, and it's called Live at Last, and it was recorded in the Winter Gardens in Bournemouth in 1978. Maddie Pryor, Tim Hart, Martin Carthy, Rich Kemp, John Kilpatrick. So this is an album that hasn't got much stuff actually off any albums, like the first track, the Atholl Highlanders and Walter Buer's Poker. Now the Atholl Highlanders is a traditional Scottish march associated with the Private Regiment and the Duke of Atholl, and Walter Buer Poker comes from English fiddle tradition. It goes back to the 19th century. Really good little tracks, the marching from the Atholl Highlanders and the tweaky little Walter Buer's Polka, excellent. Then they do a song from Saucy Sailor from Below the Salt and Storm Force 10, Black Freighter. Now they hadn't recorded that, so they'd already got this in their repertoire. Then we have The Maid and the Palmer, which is another track that they've done for this. It's a lovely little track. Hunting the Wren from Please to See the King, love that. Montrose from Parcels of Rogue in its entirety. Bonnet So Blue is a very traditional English dance, brilliant. And this one ends with The False Night on the Road from Please to See the King. Great live album. What makes this unique, you get a lot of stuff that isn't recorded on albums, and this is the only place you'll find it. So this is actually an absolute gem of an album. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 8.8, and I've actually got it on album. It's super. Okay, number 3. Now this came out in 2019, and I picked this up very cheaply on CD, and it was recorded at the De Montfort Hall in Leicester in 1977. And it was a radio broadcast, and it's Tim Hart, Maddie Pryor, Rich Kemp, Nigel Pengrim, Martin Carthy and John Kirkpatrick. So the first track on here comes from The Commoner's Crown, and it's The Gouty Farmer. I like Gouty bacon and Gouty sausages. Awake from Stormforce 10, it's the best version I've heard of that. The Saucy Sailor from Below the Salt. The Black Freighter, another great track from Stormforce 10. Hunting the Wren from Please to See the King. Then we have Sweet Cheney Street from the Force 10 album. Then they do the Duke of Atholl Highlanders again, which is great. And then of course you get Walter Buer's Poker as well. From Parcels of Rogue, Cameo Frey France. Now they do Boar's Head, which is a single that was a Christmas single that they released in 1977. So it's the only place you'll hear that, and I haven't got the single, which I'm looking for. 17 Come Sunday from Stormfall Test, and then they do a version of Rave On, the Buddy Holly song. a very good album. I'm glad I've got this on, even though it's on CD. It's a brilliant album, so I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 9 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 2 is from 1976, and it's live at the Berklee in Boston, America. So it's Maddie Pryor on vocals, Tim Hart, Bob Johnson, Rick Kemp, Peter Knight and Nigel Pegram. So the first track is from the Rocket Cottage album at London, and you get Orfeo and Nathan's Reel from the same album. Nathan's Reel is fabulous. Back we go to the All Around My Hat album for Hard Times of England. Camille France and the Rogues. Back to the Rock Cottage album, which was the album they were supporting. 12 Witches, which is an absolute belter of a track. Black Jack Davy from All Around My Hat. Galtay from Below the Skull. Brown Gold from Rocket Cottage. Then they do For I Am Forever Blowing Bubbles, which, okay, it's associated with West Ham United, but it's actually part of a Broadway musical from 1918 called The Passing the Show. So there you go. The wife of Usher's Well from All Around My Heart gets forgetting about, but it's a great track. Sir James the Road from Rocket Cottage, I love that. Then you get Devil's Dream, which is a traditional folk song that's not on any albums, and then that goes in from Royal Forester from Below the Salt. Then we have this little thing, and I've got to get this right. Ens Wheel Dry, which is Eins Dry, them counting in, a bit of an impromptu. Then we get the Black Joke, which is a traditional Irish wheel that goes into Sligo May. They do put these two together from Rocket Cottage. And then you get All Around My Hat, which goes into Mason's Apron, which is a traditional Irish reel. Great album. The Americans loved it. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 9.3. But my favourite album came out in 1974. Well, it was recorded at the Rainbow Theatre in 74, sorry, and came out in 1975, and it's called Live at the Rainbow. Matty Pryor, Tim Hart, Bob Johnson and Peter Knight. So this one opens up with Bark Goes to Limerick from the Commoner's Crown album. Great track. The Ups and Downs, Parcel of Rogues, back to the Commoner's Crown album for Demon Lover. Super track. Two Magicians from We Are Six. The Wife of Usher's Well. Now this was on a Martin McCarthy album in 1965, and it's also on All Around My Hat, of course. One Misty Moisty Morning, I love the title of that, from Parcels of Rogue. The Long Larkin. Then there's an improvisation fusion of lively tunes, and they called it Jig Jam. Brilliant. Then they do a couple of Irish tunes that don't appear anywhere else. The Musical Priest and the Silver Spear. It's got very Celtic sounding, really nice tunes. So Little Hugh from the Commoner's Crown. The Wonderful from We Are Six. Thomas the Rhyme. Love that track. Camille France Frey from the Rogues. Then they do a thing called Oh Beautiful Doll. It's a Tin Pan Alley song from the early 1900s. You don't get many of that. Irish Jigs, which included Paddy Clancy's from 10 Mop Hat. And then they do the traditional Irish reel, The Mason's Apron. This is a brilliant live album. Got the classics, a classic lineup. Tracks from the Commoner's Crown. Now, they hadn't been released at the time of this recording, so they were playing songs off a new album. Went down really well. This is, I think, Steeleye Span at their best. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 9.5. Well, that's a pretty long one for us, but I wanted to do this because I am a huge fan, as you know, of Steeleye Span. Okay, coming up next, more Steeleye Span, and it's a review of their new album, Conflict, which came out in May, and I didn't realise, and that's why I've done it today as a day of Steeleye Span. So I'll see you for that. Bye for now.